another one, right? Like, and so it's incredibly powerful. And in the ledger, you go up to your top settings. So you hold both buttons. You go up to, I think it's security settings. It's up above the wallets level. And up there, you'll be able to set a passphrase. And it will generate a completely new wallet seed phrase that is unique to your 24 words and the passphrase. Super powerful. Yeah.
Do you recommend doing that on top of like smearing, or do you just, for you personally, do you just use a 25th seed word?
Yeah, so I would say it's almost as strong as sharding your keys. So like if you wrote down your passphrase and put it in a bank vault and then the bank went and got it, it wouldn't give them anything. And if someone found your seed phrase, it wouldn't give them anything. And so they need both your 24 words and the passphrase to unlock it. So it's as powerful as sharding your seeds also. So yeah. And on the order of like 8 or 10 characters, the brute forcing starts to get into the tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands. And so if you pick 10, 12 characters, you're looking at someone spending $10,000 to $1 million to try and brute force anything. And practically no one will. So it's like, yeah.
So then on
yeah.
the other end of that, at some point, like if you want to pass on your crypto, let's say your kids, how do you, or I guess what's your take on the best way to do that? And if it's having that 25th or like the passphrase, how would you explain that process to someone who may or may not be crypto savvy?
It's good if everyone does something different. And diversity is good. If everyone did something that would be bad, it would be hackable. You could adopt a strategy like picking each one of your kids' names and then adding some random character set and then passing down your 24 seed words to like your lawyers or whatever. And without the passphrase that's given directly to your kids via another means, your lawyers can't steal your money. And these, like, say, I don't know, you tattoo it on the back of their head or something and shave them, right? I don't care. but you give the passphrase to each one of them that's unique to them. And then they get a hold of your 24 words, they have that, and they're good to go. So, an idea.
You watched Rush Hour, didn't you, lately?
I wish I could say yes.
That's a good answer, actually. I wish I could say yes. But yeah, that made me think about the Shenzhen.
But yeah, but there's some low-hanging fruit that no one, and that's one reason that I said that the ledger is more secure than the Trezor, is because a Trezor has you type your passphrase in on the computer. To my knowledge, may or may not store something on the computer of your passphrase. And the ledger, you type the passphrase in on the hardware device and set it up against a secondary pin if you want. So, yeah.
So if someone got a hold of the seed phrase,
the 24 words.
The 24 words, yes. But they didn't have that 25th password, they wouldn't be able to access the funds?
Correct. And you can imagine that there's an infinite number of passwords. And so you could keep choosing new ones. And every time you choose a new one, it creates a new wallet. That's why you can give both of your kids their own name as the passphrase for sub-wallets on your 24 words, because there's effectively an infinite number of wallets that could be selected from different passwords. Yeah.
Passphrases. And you said you can't do that with Trezors?
You can, but you have to type it in on the computer. So if there was someone with malware on your computer, like your lawyers had your kids come and type in their passphrase on their computer, then your lawyers have their passphrase possibly. On the ledger, they type in the passphrase on the hardware device. Yeah, so it's tons more secure on the hardware device. Yeah. But diversity is good. So it's like,
Yeah, the biggest thing I've been keying in with the new people to the NFT space and stuff like that, like your MetaMask is probably full of coins that you get, airdropped and stuff like that all the time that you never see the light of day. But now that OpenSea has a front end, now you're actually more susceptible to these dust attacks because you can actually physically, see something. So if you get airdropped a whole bunch of, random NFTs and stuff, those are just dust attacks that are happening in your wallet. Do not go and mess with those or sign a contract, make a transaction or anything trying to sell that NFT because you will get your wallet drained.
But if anyone wants some NFTs, I can give you some for free, right?
Yeah, but if you want some NFTs from a verified contract, it's OpenSea's, lazy mint contract. I will send them for free. You're not gonna get, I'm not stealing any money from you.
Obviously, man, but I'm just saying it's funny, It's come to this point where you got to do what they can't do in order to tell them what not to do. It's like, it's in a way, shape, or form so ironic, but I love it. It's crypto,
And the deadly attack that happened on NFTs was one of the sub specs on NFTs is you can host image, music, or HTML. And people hosted HTML JavaScript that popped an Ethereum transaction that showed up as OpenSea. And if you clicked it, you got fucked. And that was a little different to see. HTML inside of the NFT. Yeah.
Yeah, you can embed so many different kind of files into these, NFTs and stuff like that. They're where more scams are leading towards just because of their functionality and stuff like that. Basic contract is a couple hyperlinks to an image hosted on IFPS, but you can embed so many different things in these NFTs. It's insane.
And that's what we wanted in crypto was like utility, right? Like,
yeah, everybody
So,
asking for all the utility, and it's making people more susceptible to scams.
John, say you set up your 24 words. Can you go back later and add the passphrase or no?
you can. When you add your passphrase, it creates a completely new wallet. It rotates all of your everything. So it generates a completely new cryptographic seed or private wallet. Yeah.
Hey, if
And
anyone's not talking, can you back out? So not back out, but just go to listener because a couple people are trying to get in, I think, and ask a question.
Yeah, I'll dip down right now.
You're
Actually,
cool. You can come back too. I just want to make sure no one's missing it.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to go grill some steaks, so I'll probably be.
Okay, low blow. Get out of here.
So why is your name Steak and Apes
I want
again?
some steak.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because steak hacks.
I'm just kidding. So, but John, let's say you had your stakes already set up. Speaking of stakes, so you have your hex, you have it staked in a wallet. It's got 24 words. You've got your hardware wallet. Can you then go and add a passphrase?
you can,
Happen
and
to
you'll
those
get
stakes.
you can add a passphrase, and you can have any number of passphrases. You could have 100 passphrases that are different, and each one takes you to a completely different wallet. So you can add a passphrase, and then you'll be in a completely different empty wallet. Yeah. And so think about like you have all this activity and you have stakes, right? And maybe you start putting, I don't know, Hedron, whatever. You start doing new stakes on another wallet. And so you set up your passphrase and you put a whole bunch of stakes on it. Now you have two completely different wallets, and you go to the airport and they say unlock your wallet or you don't get to leave the airport. And you can unlock one of them and not the other. And you can have multiple passphrases, and they basically you can't disprove that someone doesn't have more wallets under different passphrases. So you could travel with your ledger on you and have the passphrase in your head that you have to type in when you get to the other side. And you could unlock it and give them the wallet that has your history and your transactions on it. It's like another level higher of separating out your wallets. Like say you pick the passphrase NFT, right? You could boot it up, move some coin into it, do all of this like horrendous NFT connecting trading stuff, and no matter what happens, it physically can't get to your other hardware wallet that's under a different passphrase or no passphrase. And so it's almost like having two completely different hardware wallets in your hand, depending on the passphrase.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking of while you were saying that, was then basically what would be the purpose of buying multiple hardware wallets if you could just do it this way?
I don't quite understand that last part.
So like what you're saying, you're using, let's say you use one hardware wallet, but you would have multiple passphrases to multiple addresses. Thereby it kind of means you probably don't need 100 different hardware wallets anymore if you use this strategy.
Correct. And like Ether, you can do sub wallets, but this is rotating your like prime seed. So yeah, this will get you around needing 100 different hardware wallets. Yeah, and again, picking something that is easily recoverable, because you're as likely to fuck yourself as someone fucking you. So I mean,
Or more likely, let's just say more likely.
more likely. Yeah, I would go. Yeah, I could go that far. And like even if you pick the passphrase A, B, C, like that still makes you way more secure than some jackass. So like you're going to go to the airport and you pick the passphrase ABC, and then you delete it from the ledger, and it has your 24 words in it, and someone at the airport like steals your ledger and runs away. You are that much more secure. So yeah.
So the only concern I had was with the 25 was compatibility, basically future compatibility. So if something comes out, like let's just say a user interface, a wallet, you're trying to use it with that 25 word versus the 24 or the 24 plus passphrase, and
Yeah,
that future compatibility doesn't exactly exist with the 25. So maybe you could speak to that a little bit.
it could come into play. You have It could come into play, absolutely. So BIP 39, Bitcoin Improvement Proposal 39, lays out how seed phrases are defined, and in there is your 25th word defined in the spec standard that everything implements. So if something implemented BIP 39, then you're compatible, and that's the standard spec for seed phrase implementation. So probably it's in there. Whether it is or isn't, 50-50. Like Coinbase, I don't know, probably implements it. Some like DeFi that's all weird probably didn't implement it. So yeah, you're on point there. Like, but also you should never put your seed phrase into any computer ever for any reason. Full stop, period. So it goes in your ledger, it goes in physical, and it never touches a computer. Full stop. Like if you need your coin somewhere else, you move them somewhere else. I don't know. Yeah, like the end times are going on if you're ever typing in your seed phrase into a computer. So, I mean, also that.
Then is this basically something you could point to and say, okay, supercomputers become so powerful that eventually they could brute force attack your 24 words or your 12 words. And you could point to this and say, well, this makes it infinitely more impossible for even the most supercomputers 20 years, 30 years from now.
Right? Yeah, if someone did fully attack all of the seed words, you would be outside of scope on that. And I have a joke that like it's like having an immune system. If you're 10% stronger than your neighbors, you're 90% safer. And it's like just this tiny little thing. If no one else is doing it and you're doing it, you don't have to outrun the bear. You have to outrun the other people trying to outrun the bear. Like,
Yeah, that's a good point. Especially with hundreds of millions of wallets, and a lot of them have more value than what's in mine. But speaking of which, um, so yeah, kind of along these same lines, what are the odds that we see somebody hack or eventually brute force the Satoshi wallet? You know, that's to me, that's like the wall that I'm staring at to see if somebody breaks through first before I would ever consider that anything I have is at risk. But maybe you could speak on that.
Right? Yeah, having basically a bug bounty inside of Satoshi's wallet is awesome. Um, so the only conspiracy theory that I have in my head around the weakness of uh, BTC, all of the signing encryption, is we do a type of signing called elliptic curve signature derivation, ESCD. It's derived from elliptic curve encryption, which is a new type of encryption that is more efficient on smaller hardware. And it came out, it was adopted as the new de facto Bitcoin, PCI, credit cards, everything. And then in the Snowden leaks, it came out that they had a backdoor in the random number generator of the elliptic curve encryption. And it was like adopted into the NIST standard for PCI credit card processing. And so if Satoshi adopted the elliptic curve encryption random number generator that had a backdoor from the NSA that Snowden revealed, then he would have generated keys. As long as he doesn't do very many signature blocks, then it's secure. But I think it's after you do like 1,000 signature blocks, bit blocks, like then they can derive the random number sequence, and then they can figure out the private key from that or something. So as long as Satoshi doesn't do a bunch of transactions, then he would be immune to that attack. So that's the only paranoid like edge vulnerability that I see for any of it. Like, but that's pretty paranoid. Like, I don't believe in it.
Bullish, you got your hand up, my man's? You might have just been kicked.
You know,
Yeah,
John, if hackers were to even get into the Satoshi wallet, would you think that they would take the funds, or do you think that they would coordinately plan the market or sell the ability to dump the market? What is your opinion? Because from what I've seen, from what hackers do, is that they plan things, right? So they don't just go in and take. They go in and they execute. So what do you think the plan would be for the Satoshi wallet? Because if you sell it, it's done. Everything's done. You shit where you eat. So do you think that they would maybe plan on using it?
I mean, it's kind of a catch-22 that works out in our favor, where anyone that could control Satoshi's wallet would have so much money and power that they wouldn't care about it. Like, and if someone was going to try to weaponize it, yeah, like at some point you would just kick the legs out from the market, create all sorts of FUD. You would dump Satoshi's wallet, you would flash sell it to stable, you would DDoS and attack all of the Ethereum nodes. You might show up at the houses of all the Ethereum developers and start dealing with that problem and kick the legs out of the market at a grand scale. But I mean, holy shit, like I don't think anyone's going to do that to make a little bit of money. Like you're fucking the market. Like, okay. I mean,
So famous. Here's one idea. If you were planning to do something like that, if Bitcoin is on the financial markets and you were able to short Bitcoin and rack up tons of leverage on the thing, you could probably set that up in advance, and then you would hack that wallet, and then you could make out like a bandit, even if you're selling Bitcoins to zero.
all the way to prison the next day.
100%. But I wouldn't dump Satoshi's wallet. You know how powerful I am. You know what kind of I can make every cryptocurrency bend to my knees. Every cryptocurrency, I could go see every cryptocurrency dev team and say, listen, man, I will fucking dump on your bitch ass. You give me this much right now.
Sounds like Richard Hart right now.
I'm telling you, I would do that. I would not sell 1 inch of my Bitcoin, because once that happens, it's like telling humans that aliens exist. Everyone's just gonna go ape shit. The aliens are coming, and everyone's just gonna go ape shit.
I think Bullish had a question.
Yeah, go Bullish.
Everyone's saying really good shit. I just think Bullish had a question a minute ago. If he wants to say it, I don't know.
Yeah. Hi, John. Thanks for sharing the user information. I just wanted some clarification. I think you mentioned that 24 plus seed phrase is compatible with BIP 39. Is that correct?
Yeah. And in PI 39, you actually have a passphrase by default, and it's mnemonic, but you can add to it. Yeah.
So I noticed you mentioned that Ledger currently supports it. I just looked it up, and it seems like Treasure supports it as well. So is it a matter of them enabling us to add the additional seed phrase?
Nah, Trezor does support it, but they support it on the application side. So in the Trezor app where you manage it, just like the Ledger app where you install the wallets from, the Trezor actually has you type in your seed phrase on your computer, not on the device.
Yeah.
Right. So if we wanted to take advantage of the additional seed phrase, we can do it, but only through the application side.
Yeah, and it can't set up multiple Well, maybe it can. I don't know. I didn't see a way to set up multiple identities where you could like log into your Trezor with multiple pathways to have multiple seed phrase.
Yeah, I was actually looking into that as well. Maybe Famous knows because he plays around with the Treasure more. But I was trying to figure out something similar to that as well. So for the purpose that you said, not having to carry around or have multiple wallets. But that's interesting. I'm gonna look into that a little deeper.
How would maybe you have the answer to this question, John? Maybe you don't. But how would the advent of quantum computers affect all this shit? Because they can do insane amount of computations and theoretically could probably hack any wallet.
I've asked a bunch of crypto is smart people that understand crypto try to explain it to me and I can't understand it. But I've asked them that question and I basically always got that AES, asymmetric encryption, which we don't use, is quantum resistant. Theoretically, from what I keep hearing from my friends that are into quantum and into encryption, I don't hear a doomsday scenario coming out of them. So they're smart. I don't have the brain power to understand it, but from smart people that are into it, they don't seem to think that we're nearing that point of quantum actually breaking it. I would more be worried that there's an NSA computer that you can see from space. It has its own lake to cool it, and it has capabilities that are 40 years in the future from us today. And that computer not being quantum could stomp most encryption into the ground in my mind. So I'd be more worried about like just supercomputers that you can see from space because they're giant. Yeah, I don't.
It's a scary thought, John.
Well, it's
a lot of things you said have terrified me actually as well. They've been genius and all good ideas, but kind of terrifying at the same time.
I think I need your help because I'm not terrified at all, and I have no idea what the fuck anyone's talking about. It's like I'm just so lost. It's probably because I was streaming for so long now.
Okay, well,
I mean,
I don't even know where to begin at this moment, but I can rewatch this. So
what he's saying is making total sense. If it's gonna work anywhere right now at this moment, it's gonna be in space.
I really like how you articulated the value of the 25th word being like, if you're 10%, if your immune system is 10% better, you're 90% above the rest. I think that was a big statement. That made a lot of sense.
yeah, it does. That definitely makes a lot of sense. I totally get what you're saying. Like everything you can learn about security, it's like probably everyone in here at this point that's talking at least has their security at a point where they can go to bed at night without being worried. But at the same time, the most people that get hacked don't know that they should be worried. That's the problem. It's like the people that are worried and like proactive are like always worried and proactive but then everyone that comes in has to get racked in one way or another, whether it's like a bad trade or a security thing, in order for them to be like, this is real money. Like, wake the fuck up. And I think everyone's had that experience at one point in their life, whether it was exactly crypto or like you told some dude to fuck off and he punched you, leveled you in the face, and you're like, I ain't talking shit no more. It's like the same thing. It's like when I got hacked, I was like, all right, I'm a big boy now. Like, fuck.
I think it's more like when you're a kid and you look at this fire, and well, for me, it was when I used to stare at the fire, and I was like, everyone always telling me that the fire is not good and you shouldn't touch it. But the day that I understood that fire was not good and that I shouldn't touch it was the day I burnt my finger. So for myself, I speak for myself. The reason why I'm so into security, it was because I saw my wallet drained. It was because I clicked something and I lost my money. And today I look at that and like, oh shit, that money, I don't trade no more because of the fact that I got wrecked trading. I don't, a lot of things I don't do anymore in crypto is because I have done it. So yeah, like you said, that's usually people that are so into it's either it's their profession or they've got hacked. So be careful, guys.
Nice. I love crypto that people actually like you said, after you get burnt, you care. And before you get burnt, like people kind of care. They don't really care.
How can you care? It's like if every girl tells you you're awesome and goes on a date with you and wants to marry you, it's like, how the fuck would you ever care, right? Like some girls gotta tell you to fuck off and then break your heart when you're little, and then you're like, it's the same thing. You just gotta get burnt a couple times, and then you clear up. You're like, all right, this is serious. I have to take advantage if I want to be better than other people. When I say better, I mean more wealthy.
And for me, I try to make security about stability and strength. You can protect yourself and the people around you. And it's like if someone's trying to sell you security from like fear and there's no way to defend yourself, that's bullshit. Like good security, like crypto is 5 to 10 years more secure than anything on like Web 2 classical finance or whatever. Like crypto is super secure compared to normal stuff.
True, very true. I know. It's some people just don't understand.
The other low-hanging fruit is multiple wallets. And so one of the core security principles is segmentation, like segmentation of risk, segmentation of value. Like you have multiple email addresses, one for social, one you give out to people, one used for banking. And so anything on that channel is relevant to that channel. So like if someone comes to your banking email and they're like, hey, we met at the club last night, click this link, I want to talk to you. And it's like, to my banking email, fuck you. Like that ain't gonna happen. Or social, if your social email, they're like, hey, your bank account is overdrafted. And it's like, on my social email? Okay, sure. And same thing with wallets. Have wallets that have low value for NFT trading that you're just doing some awful degen shit. Have one wallet that you're staking. Have one wallet where you're doing LP liquidity providing. And so you can kind of segment your value and segment your risk and kind of have different profiles for yourself doing different activities. And that provides a lot of you don't put more on the table than you're willing to lose. Don't go to the bar with like 10K in your wallet. Definitely don't go to the bar with $1 million in your wallet. Have multiple wallets. Like, right?
Don't go anywhere with enough money in any wallet where you think showing someone would be cool. Like that's how I always think. Like if there is enough money in my wallet where I'm like, I want to show one of my buddies because I'm like fucking around with them, I'm like, you should split that shit up. Just split it up. Put two. See, the way Famous kind of taught me this. I don't know if he directly did or if I was just listening to him, but I do 2 stakes per wallet now. Like I'm just like fuck it, like whatever. If this is the long game, if in the stakes, they're 1 T-share or more generally. So, I think 2 for me is fine. And then you get another wallet, and then on the first one, I have a little bit more freedom playing around with it because I'm like, well, if one of them gets chopped, fuck it. But you keep very little on each. I just keep little on each, really, to be honest. That's kind of my strat. Plus the separate computers.
Yeah,
and the treasures.
and the two on one wallet. The reason why is simply because of the whole concept of like intro to mathematics, where like it's either or. right, John? So like, you know, when you're looking at math and it's like it's true or false. So the reason why I say 2 is because you either have 1 or 2 on it. You cannot have 1, 2, or 3, or 1, 2, or 3, or 4. You understand? So I just cut down the statistics. It's not that you guaranteed you always have 1. It's no, you either have 1 or 2. So go verify. So it's like a true or false way of looking at it. So it's like if you keep the seed phrase, it's because there's 1. But if you have it, there could also be 2. So it's true or false. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, but I have a hard time explaining maths because it's so it's so complicated.
Sounds like a good strategy. And diversity is important. Like if we all pick the same thing, then that thing would get fucked. So it's good that like there isn't a use which browser, use what. Like if everyone used a VPN, VPNs are going to get hacked. Like people are on the VPN and you get a hold of that traffic and you can focus on getting in there. So it's good if everyone does something different.
John, would you suggest someone to always keep the same wallet, like for family purposes and generational wealth? Like, would you suggest someone continuously use the same wallet, or would you suggest them to, whenever they have the chance, to refresh and revamp it into a brand new one for either technological purposes or just straight just like that? What would be your suggestion on that? Because for me, I really I would what's it called? I would give it down airwise, not just the funds, but I would also explain to them the concept of crypto, right? So making their own wallet and taking my funds and putting it into their, right? It's like taking my name, everything in my name, and putting in their name, more than just taking my bank account and being a state controller of that account, right? Because then you're always limited. So what is your ideas on that?
So let's say a wallet is the 24 seed words. In security, I like to hold both things as absolutely true, and I'm fine with that. So I see lots of value in just having one and rolling new seed phrases off of it, and being able to, like, people used to do like the year, and it's like some random long ass thing in the year. I don't know, right? Also on your 24 words, like say you were with some shady partner 2 years ago and they got a hold of your 24 words at some point 2 years ago. Then rotating to a new 24 is good. So like maybe you say, fuck this, I'm going to go to Dubai. I'm going to shave my head. I'm going to change my name. I'm going to YOLO. And then, rotate your 24 words for your new world. And kind of segment on that. I don't know, like I think people that have like 200 of seed phrases are just asking for trouble. Like when you create your seed phrase, type it in once or twice, make sure it's valid. like don't create a new seed phrase, stamp it out, throw it in like the vault, and then be like, it's good. It's like, no, you stamp it out, you test it. Because I've seen like a hard backup of a seed phrase not work, and that sucks. So test it out immediately. Like in the setup phase, once or twice, type it in from scratch once or twice, and maybe even wait a day or two. So if there's like some glitch in your brain that's getting you to view an N as a U, it's not there in the same way 2 days later or something. I don't know. Just like if you're running a whole bunch of wallets, like, I don't know. So whatever makes you happy. Also, like if you have a bad feeling in your stomach about your seeds and you're like, man, I don't like trust your gut, like roll a new 24. I don't know.
It always comes down to there's not one way of doing it, right? Just so people can understand that question, because that's where I wanted to kind of get at. There's not one way of doing things. It's whatever you feel comfortable doing, right?
Yeah. in that there's no one way of doing it. When you write down your 24, if you go to BIP 39, all of the words that are selectable are actually a number between 0 and 2048. And so you can actually, instead of writing down the word, which you only need the first 4 letters because only the first 4 letters are unique or needed, you can actually instead write down the number that is that word. So you might have like pizza, and that might be number 182. And so you can either write down pizza or 182. And on the BIP list, it's well defined, and it will always be well defined as per the spec standard for the word mapping to the numbers. So there's that too. But
yeah, and could you confirm when a seed phrase when you always add an account on a seed phrase, is there a reason why it's always the same chronological order of private keys? Is there a reason for that specifically?
You broke up a little bit. I didn't quite catch that.
Okay, so on a MetaMask seed phrase, right? It generates private keys in order and always chronologically in order the same. Is there a reason for that specifically?
Oh, you mean like the subwallets from your hardware?
Well, from the seed phrase, more specifically. So like MetaMask or any type of seed phrase, when you add wallets or when you add private keys to that wallet, it always adds the same wallet in order chronologically. So like it's always number 2 will always be number 2 all the way. And I think it's like 63 to the power of like 260 something that it could do per second. But is there a reason specifically? Like, is there like something, a term or something that actually determines why that actually is always the same? Because I've said that to people, but people were like listening to me like, is that true? Is it not? Just want to get your confirmation on that.
It's definitely true. I'm speaking from words I've heard and a little bit out of my ass. So, 90% grain of salt, whatever. They call them derivations, and they have basically numbers. So 1, 2, 3. I think it might go up to 255 is the maximum number of derivations you can have. I'm not 100% right. And typically derivations means rounds of encryption. So like you'll basically perform the operation to take the seed phrase and create the private key. And in multiple rounds of derivation, you basically run that cycle again. And so you basically just take one derivative step forward. You basically just run the encryption algorithm again, either taking the output of the previous encryption cycle, typically, or actually generating it from the seed phrase and running it multiple times. I'm not sure how they're actually creating it, but typically it means just the number of rounds of encryption. And so that's my understanding. I'm not 100% on that.
I understand. It was more for myself, but it is true then that it always is in order the same account. So if you were to go as like, the 15th wallet on your seed phrase, if you generate it, it'll always be the same wallet, right?
Yep, always. Yep, totally.
So that could be utilized, for hackers. Someone wants to go to the 77th wallet all the time. Well, they'll always be there, right? That's it.
Yeah, and that whole 10% more secure way. It's like, and I hope, and on hardware devices, you have that same derivation. Like, I hope to see more. Like Solana didn't seem to have sub wallet derivation, and it's like, that would be nice to see. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Well, it's fun getting to chat, and I'm happy deep diving or keeping it just surface level of like, what does a password on MetaMask do or whatever. Like, I just donate time to the community to cover whatever, like the topic that people want to go into. I do Saturday security, same time.
Could I ask you two more questions? Okay, so
no hurry.
And people might not understand this, but this is more for myself, John. So we what is your thoughts on Tails and the Tor bridge? I don't know if you're familiar with that. Hello.
Yeah, no, Tor. What's the Tor bridge?
On Tails, like to connect, and then you connect your internet to the Tor bridge, and you okay. So you probably don't know that, but do you know about
Oh,
Tails,
Like
the
the
operating
operating
system?
system?
yeah, Tails the operating system,
Yeah.
right?
Would
Yeah.
you suggest that for people to maybe utilize that as a function, maybe with the hardware wallets, or would it?
Yeah. So the main thing that I see from using and Tor browser, you can also just download and use on Windows or Linux. And the real upside that I see from using the Tor browser, and it's on Tails too, so same thing, is that it obscures your fingerprint of your browser, and it basically tries to like vanilla all of like they can fingerprint you by what plugins you have installed and like different things, what cookies you have, and so they can basically identify you anonymously out of everyone in the world. So that's awesome. I mean, like you take something like that MetaMask lockout that was done by Infura. So Infura is your on ramp to Ethereum, and it's owned by Consensus, which is the same owner as MetaMask. Consensus has deep ties with JP Morgan or Chase or whatever. They swap code with them. They take investment from them. They shut down like a banking institution would be required to in the same time frame. So they're exhibiting signs that they are AML compliant. And so Infura is writing down your IP address and linking it to what wallets you use. So like what they're going to do with it, they're never going to publicly do anything with that data or admit that that data even ever exists. If some marketing company comes along and they're like, well, we'd really like to find all of the wallets in Chicago, then Infura could do that. And they would be able to sell that marketing capability to those IPs and map your identity and be able to say, I want to put an advertisement in front of every person in crypto actively trading within the last 30 days in Chicago. And that's a lot of money and power. So, I mean, that would be the nefarious action I would expect upon it. So you get sanitization of your IP and you get sanitization of your browser. I mean, diversity is good. Like if you do it, great. If you don't do it, that's not super bad. So, yeah, I don't. It's good. I'm glad someone does it. So,
So I have a question for you, if you don't mind sharing. What is your preferred Linux distribution with a desktop?
I I guess Ubuntu. Like I for me for me I hate basically all programs. Like I like command line and code. And the moment you put me in front of a GUI like YouTube, when I first tried to use YouTube, I spent hours and I rage quit. And then I stood up my own video server because I couldn't figure out how to use YouTube back in the day. And like, so I've given up on programs like either command line or I write documents all day. Like I can honestly function on a phone just fine for my day to day. Like it's I I don't do well with programs or operating systems anymore. But yeah.
Yeah, the reason I ask is because unfortunately, for right now, unless I'm unaware of it, you cannot transact with the blockchain just 100% through the command line in a in an easy way. So unfortunately, to interact with Ledger and Treasure, we have to use the desktop and the browser. So usually we're either doing a Debian based flavor of Linux or like an Arch based like Manjaro. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Oh, I mean, there. So there's a lot of game theory on it. Like, so I don't know if you know about the supposedly secure communication app called Signal. Um, it goes on your phone. It does encrypted end-to-end encryption to other people, but it exposes your phone number. And other people can get a time frame for when your phone number joins Signal. And you can use this as a metaphor for Tor or any other security you're doing. And during the Iranian protest, the government basically looked for all of the citizens that have just joined Signal, which was being used as the main communication app for the protesters. And they just showed up at their house with a van, and all of the main protesters stopped being main protesters. And you extend that to something like the war in Ukraine. And it's like, well, is it more secure to use a public phone number or Signal? And it's like, well, Russia can easily go and look up all the people that have just joined in the area on Signal, and they're using that. So we could accidentally blow up all of those houses as a priority. So in this, that the game theory of if you blend in with the crowd versus take secure actions that would deviate you from the crowd, such as tornado cache, then if you do tornado cache, if anyone targets crypto wallets, you will be among the first targeted. And so there's a game theory of standing out or blending in. So I'm glad people do both. And if everyone did security, then you would not stand out. You would stand out, in fact, if you did not do security. So it's a personal choice. There is no right answer. Diversity is good.
Thanks.
Oh, and secure communication app I recommend is Threema. It's just fucking great. It basically creates a private key wallet. It can do it with no phone number or email or any contact information, and it basically generates you a private key that is your account, and it does end-to-end encryption, does proxy servers through Switzerland, and it's great. If you're looking for a secure communication, it's on the App Store on the phones, and yeah, so
Just download it. Pretty quick.
cool. It's awesome getting to talk to the Hex
Thank you.
community.
Thank you for the pearls of wisdom, man.
Oh, and out of DeFi's, I would consider Hex to be a DeFi, and the lack of counterparty risk that's been able to be established is by far the best. Like it's basically provably secure, and that's light years ahead of any other DeFi platform. You've seen them all get popped. So
Preach that gospel, brother.
yo, and so cool. All right. Well, I did an hour, and I'll be around the community. Always happy to chat on security. Happy to if I don't know an answer, I can find security people that do. And I donate time to the community. So this is this is what I do as a day
Time to
job.
GRC. Make sure that I get all my shit straight because I'm probably Swissy still.
GRC.
Jim Rat Crypto.
Oh. And really, at the end of the day, security hopefully makes you feel stronger and more secure. And it's about building stability and capability and understanding the risk, and you can quantize it and understand it and segment it. And like, yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Cool.
John, thanks for coming in to make it the way you explain it is clear and accessible, and it doesn't scare us. It makes us think. Thank you, man.
You seem level-headed and kind, sir. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thanks. I really appreciate that. I try. I'm genuinely, I can't express how happy to find people that do security more than lip service and they actually care. So I'm super excited that people care at all about security. So have a great weekend all. And it was awesome, and love Hex, and keep on keeping on, and I'll be around. So, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Hey,
man.
hit me up, man.
Don't
I
be a
would love to do a
stranger.
show
Thank you.
deep dive. Security Sam would love to pick your brain.
Oh yeah, and I'm looking forward to talking to Papa Bear since he's all about the Trezor. And I did a deep dive on the Trezor, set it up, ran it. I'm like, okay, now I can talk about it. So I look
How
forward to
about
talking to
this?
him.
Let's set up Do you agree with him 100% on treasure?
Oh no! I'm all ledger. Like,
Okay, so
All right, well,
let's make
I'll,
this
I'll,
Oh,
happen.
I'm
that's
We'll make
it.
bringing
it
him
happen.
on.
Bring it on. Get it on.
We'll make it happen.
I'm
We'll
bringing
make
it
that
on.
happen, John.
Papa
Don't worry about
versus
it.
John.
Friendly debate.
GRC
Loving it.
going
We'll
down.
we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen, Jimran. Don't worry about it. Let's do it.
Let's go.
sounds awesome. All right, I'll catch you all around. Bye.
Take care.